welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube pop called Paw Your Way Into Our Hearts, where we scrapbook pictures of our pets. So first of all, I'm starting with some watercolor paper, and I'm spraying it with some Tim Holtz Distress Mica stain called Frozen Fog. And this is from their holiday collection, so I don't know if it's still available, but if it is, I'll put it in the links below. It's kind of a silver gray color. After I let my paper dry for quite a long time, then I'm coming back and doing some stenciling. The photos I'm going to be scrapbooking are of my sister's first dog on its first Christmas. So I'm using these Christmas stencils from Scrappy Boy Stamps, and it's a layering stencil called Merry and Bright Ornaments. They kind of like retro ornaments. And so I'm using Distress Oxide, which is Dusty Concord, and then I get the other stencil since it's a layering stencil, and on that one I do Seedless preserves. And then I just move the stencils and do the same thing on the bottom half. Even though this is my sister's dog, I'm doing a scrapbook album of the dog we jointly own and right now, and plus the one we did before, and I found some more pictures of her first dog, so I thought I'd put them all in the same photo album. The paper that I'm stenciling will serve as some pattern paper on one side of the layout. My sketch calls for 3 clusters, so I'm using the stamp and die set from Hello Bluebird called Joy and Peace. And it has words as well as holly and pine needles. And this large holly is actually a layering stamp set, which I didn't know. So I kind of looked online just to see what it's supposed to look like and had to figure out how to do it. So I'll be showing you that because I figured I looked online and there was no YouTube videos on how to use this stamp set, so I thought it would be good to put in the video. Now I'm just stamping all of them with my Distress Oxide stamp pads, and I've never done that before, so I did look up online, and it says this type of ink kind of sits on top of the paper, and also since it's a layering one, I want to make sure I have a good image, so I'm using my stamp platform to make sure I can stamp it several times. Also, it's the first time I'm using the stamp set, so it does need to be conditioned. I stamped 3 sets of the holly because that's going to be the cluster, and then I just put on as many of the pine needles as I could so I can intersperse those around the clusters. I do have to let this dry completely before I move on to the next layer because this ink does take a while to dry. While I gave my stamped images time to dry, I went ahead and die cut them as well as got my photos mounted. And I'm using the negative space, so this helps if you are going to do the stamping on more than one cluster, so it'll save you time. So first of all, I just inset my stamped image back into the negative space, and I'm taping it in because the magnet's really only holding the back of the paper. It's not holding the actual die cut. So I tape it down just so it won't move while I'm stamping. The holly leaves and the pine needles I stamped with the bundled sage, and now I'm going to be using Dusty Concord Distress Oxide ink to stamp the berries. After I finish each one, I take it out and put the next die cut in, so you can see how this would save you time so you don't have to keep lining up the stamped image if you have several clusters to do. I let it dry a little longer, and then I'm coming back with this detailed stamp for the berries, and I'm using Seedless preserves. And I do the same process again where I just insert all of the clusters back into the negative space so I can stamp it. Then I also decided that since the next detail stamp is on the leaves that I don't need to let it dry, and I go ahead and get the stamps out for that. On the carrier sheet that the stamps come on, the leaves for holly are labeled A, B, C, and D, and then each of the details are also labeled A, B, C, and D so you know which one goes with which leaf. And then I decided to do them in silver. You could have done them in a darker green, but I thought silver or white would look neat because then it kind of give it the snowy winter appearance. Off screen, I attached some pattern paper on the left-hand side to some purple cardstock, as well as the pattern paper that I made on the right-hand side. and I stitched around the pattern paper with some green thread, and the pattern paper that I made, I stitched around that with some purple thread. And then I mounted all my photos on some purple cardstock that matches the Seedless preserves. I also mounted the picture that's going to be on the right to some vellum with my mounting squares, and then I realized I needed to add some more adhesive to the back of the vellum so I can attach that to my page. The sketch I'm using came from the Disney Scrappers group, which is a free group to join online if you like to do Disney scrapbooking. And this one was created by Orlanda Silva, but I'm not putting it on the screen like I normally do because this one came from the White Glove membership, which is a paid subscription. We paid $20 a year to belong to that, and then they give us an extra sketch each month. But you can join the group for free, and then they have free sketches each month also, as well as different challenges. So in June, we're having a challenge to make Christmas layouts. So even though this isn't a Disney scrapbook page, it is a Christmas one for the Christmas challenge. And also the dog's name and the picture's name is Scamp. She's named after the Scamp from Lady and the Tramp. And so I guess technically it is a Disney scrapbook page. And just so you know, she is a schnauzer, and a schnauzer was the main type of animal that Tramp was based after. And if you look at the comic books that have Scamp, they're really ancient. I don't know if there's new ones. There was a newer video made of Scamp. I think it was in the early 2000s, I believe. And I don't know if it was out in theaters or just was a home video that was made about Scamp. So, of course, we had to get that because it looks like a little schnauzer. So I just spend the rest of the time trying to figure out where to put all the clusters and arranging the photos and attaching everything to the page. And I just used some Nouveau Deluxe glue to glue everything on. This strip I have that's kind of like a border I made from a border punch from Creative Memories, and actually this was just one that I had already made and it happened to be the right color. I chose the colors for this layout because in these pictures I'm obviously wearing purple. And yes, that's a typical outfit of how you dressed back in the 1980s with the plaid and the vest. And of course you dressed up on Christmas Day, or at least our family did. So anyway, I thought the purple would be great, and since there's traditional colors in the background with the red and green, I wanted to bring green in, so I thought the sage green would go really well. And of course, also in the pictures, I'm trying to get the dog posed so that we can see her Christmas bow, and she must have gotten groomed recently also. And I especially wanted to take the pictures because my sister was in Mexico. Even the dog was just about 6 months old, I imagine. So my mom and dad and myself were taking care of the dog while my sister was off being a missionary in Mexico. So we wanted to have pictures to show my sister of her dog's first Christmas. I added the title Scamp's First Christmas with some stickers, and I did that off screen so you wouldn't watch me trying to get that straight for a long time. And I also found some silver stickers to put the year on the top, which is hard to see with the lights. I have some purple gemstones that match perfectly, so I adhered those to different spots on the layout. As the final embellishment to the layout, I add some crystal stickles to the inside of the berries for some detail, and I add some silver stickles to the lines on the holly leaves because I didn't think the silver ink was showing up as well as I wanted it to. And then I also added some Lawn Fawn sparkle glaze to the pine needles to make them stand out more and to look at like it's a kind of winter wonderland. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that those links generate, and that helps support my channel. I'll also put a link to all the participants in the Paw Your Way Into Our Hearts YouTube hop in the description below. Please hop along and support all the other creators, and you'll get some inspiration of how to do some scrapbook layouts for your pets. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.